The track Breaking the Guard is based around a 6/8 feel, where we've divided the bar into two groups of three. So in its most basic form, we've got a bass drum on the downbeat of the first group of three and a snare drum on the downbeat of the second group of three, like this. Now the 16th notes in the track are actually swung, so the subdivision isn't a straight subdivision within that, for example like this. But rather it's swung, so the 16th notes are going by like this. So let's start to incorporate some of the other bass drum and snare drum notes that Chad plays on the track. So we're now going to add a snare drum midway through the first group of three like this. And a bass drum just before beat 4. Or before the halfway point. So again, remember these have got to be swung, it's not straight. Onto the next part of the bar, where we've got a triplet fill down the toms, creating a descending fill not dissimilar to what Mitch Mitchell plays on the track Manic Depression by Jimi Hendrix. Here we're using single strokes, so we're basically playing the first of these 6 single strokes on beat 5 with the bass drum and ride cymbal together. And if you think of it as 6 notes from there that we're orchestrating down the toms like this. Okay, 2 points here. First thing is the snare drum note that's in there is really very quiet, and it's really there just to set up that triplet subdivision. The other thing is we're just playing this across the 2 toms. On the original version of the track, Chad moves this between the rack 1 and rack 2, and then rack 2 and the floor tom. But now on his current kit, with having just the one rack tom in front of him, it's just playing between the rack and floor, as we're doing here. So now we're going to try that triplet figure that we've got on those final 2 beats, along with the first part of the bar that we'd set up earlier. And that's going to sound like this. Next up, here's a fill that gets used throughout the track. And it's based around the idea of the bass drum subdividing the group of 3 that you've got up on the ride cymbal. In other words, you're playing 2 against 3. And now we'll add the left hand to that and we get this figure. So I started that with a slightly straighter feel and began to swing it more and more as it went on. I'm going to play that in context with the original groove now, so you can hear how that would work as a fill within the basic groove. So let's move on to the middle eight, where we've got a 2-bar pattern where the drums are actually accompanied by various bits of percussion. There's a heavy emphasis on beats 1 and 4 in the bar, which actually sound like reverb, but it's these percussion instruments. So the pattern slowed down sounds like this. So you notice there that again we've got that 2 against 3 feel where we've got 3 on the right cymbal. This time we've got the 2 in the left hand on the snare. The final fill we're going to take a look at is the one that takes us out of that middle 8 section. It's based around single strokes on the snare, but it starts off with the hands playing the downbeat of the bar together. So you're going to have to play a together left to begin the fill. So slowly it sounds like this. And that's all of the parts for the track Breaking the Girl.